Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Board. Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports. And coming up on today's show, a Raiders Day 2 mock draft. And I'm also going to break down some of the targets that the Silver and Black could potentially look at on Day 2, Round 2, and in Round 3. So this is how the first round went in the 2023 NFL Draft. Bryce Young off the board of the Carolina Panthers. C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson to the Houston Texans. Anthony Richardson goes number 4 to the Indianapolis Colts. Devin Witherspoon, Paris Johnson Jr. The Raiders select Tyree Wilson, Bijan Robinson off the board at 8 to the Falcons. Jalen Carter, the Eagles trade up. Bears trade back. They swap picks. Darnell Wright. Peter Skoronski off the board at 11. The most surprising pick, or one of the most surprising picks I thought, was Jahmyr Gibbs to the Lions at 12. Lucas Van Ness, Broderick Jones, Will McDonald, and then Emmanuel Forbes, which was the biggest reach of the first round. Chris Gonzalez, Steele to the Patriots, F the Pats. Jack Campbell, Kalijah Kancey, Justin Smith, and Jigba. Quentin Johnson, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison. As you can see, a lot of wide receiver runs in round 1. Deonta Banks, good deal there for the New York Giants. Dalton Kincaid was the only tight end taken in round 1. Mozzie Smith, Anton Harrison, Myles Murphy to the Bengals. Brian Bresee, Nolan Smith, and then Felix Azuma goes to the Kansas City Chiefs. So, with all of that being said, what I wanted to be able to do here is lay out a brand new round 2, round 3 only mock draft here on the Raiders Report. So luckily, PFF has the updated rankings. They have the updated list of the players that are taken. And right now, as it stands, the best players available, according to Tom Downey's big board: Brian Branch, safety out of Alabama, his 8th overall player. Michael Mayer, number 9, tight end out of Notre Dame. Joey Porter Jr., the cornerback out of Penn State. Osiris Torrance, number 16 overall from Florida. Darnell Washington, tight end from Georgia. B.J. Ojulari from LSU. Clark Phillips, Steve Avila, Drew Sanders, Cam Smith, DJ Turner, and Trenton Simpson. Those are the top 12 available according to our NFL draft expert, Tom Downey Jr. Now, if you don't already know, subscribe, turn on those notifications. Jeremy Chuggs and I are going to be live for every single pick during Day 2. Round 2, Day 3, doesn't matter what pick it is, we will be live. We're going to get the picks before you see them on television. So take a second, hit that subscribe button, and turn on those notifications. Now, let's look at this Raiders Day 2 mock draft, because if I'm going to tell you who the Raiders took at 38, I got to show you at least what the mock draft shows me. So in round 2, 31, Brian Branch off the board. Michael Mayer off the board. Will Levis, big-time slide. He's going to go to the Detroit Lions at 33. Round 2, you got Osiris Torrance, Hendon Hooker, and then Joey Porter Jr., all officially off the board. So Brian Branch is at 32. Michael Mayer is at 33. Will Levis at 34. Osiris Torrance at 36. Hendon Hooker at 37. And then, I did the math wrong. Either way, those are all the picks lining up, ready to rock and roll for this mock. So, who do you want the Raiders to draft with the 38th pick of the 2023 NFL Draft? We talked about the players that went off the board. We've already seen the round 1 guys. Again, this is a mock draft. So what I'm going to try to do here is to go this. Based on value, based on need, based on what the Raiders could potentially be looking at. So with the 38th pick, after the Raiders selected Tyree Wilson at 7, I'm going to go with linebacker Drew Sanders. He's my number 1 linebacker on my board. And for those of you that have watched the show before, it's probably not that much of a surprise. Honestly, it probably isn't. 6'5", 232 pounds out of Denton, Texas. I've talked to people close to me here that I live in Texas, believe it or not. I think this kid's amazing. Went to Alabama, transferred to the Arkansas Razorbacks. But overall, when you look at the numbers that he has done, 103 tackles, 9.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. This guy can do literally everything. He can go sideline to sideline. He can breakup passes. He can get after the quarterback. I think he is a great, great talent. The Athletics' Dan Brugler had this to say: Sanders must become a more skilled tackler finisher and take on player, but he offers intriguing versatility as a do-everything front seven defender thanks to his size and athletic range. He's an ascending player with the talent to be a matched-up linebacker and an occasional pass rusher in the NFL. What I read there is this: good linebacker, big-time need for the Raiders. I also read that he can be a versatile player, big-time need for the Raiders. In 12 games played last season for the Arkansas Razorbacks, look at the numbers: 5 pass breakups, 1 pick, 3 forced fumbles. He might not be a great coverage linebacker in year one. Here's the spoiler alert: not many linebackers in year one are great coverage linebackers. To me, though, he's just a good football player. And that's what the Raiders are going to fall in love with. The fact that he is a good football player, he's around plays when it matters the most. He's better than Robert Spillane right now. I'll tell you that right now. He's better than him. Divine Diablo, he's not as McDaniel Ziegler guy, so I don't have a lot of confidence in him being around for a long time. Luke Masterson is depth. If you were to draft Drew Sanders, he would be the best linebacker on your team right now. And honestly, well, I don't think it'd be all that close. Now, for anybody who's watching right now, we are doing a ticket giveaway. Shout out to the Blackout Division. You can win 2 Raiders tickets to the home opener. All you got to do is enter your email address at that link below. Seriously, go to that link, blackoutdivision.com. It's going to be available in the comments and in the description of today's show. You have a chance to win 2, I guess, week 1 or week 2, whatever the home opener game is for the Raiders, tickets. Saturday party bus. I mean, they got the whole hookup. Go check it out, blackoutdivision.com. So here's your opportunity. Now you can be the GM. Who do you want the Raiders to draft with the 70th overall pick? This is round 3. If I already told you Drew Sanders is the pick at 38, who could potentially be the pick at 70? My biggest fingers crossed is for this guy. Cornerback, Julius Brents. Love him. Long, lanky, and athletic. 6'4", 202 pounds. If you got Tyree Wilson, Drew Sanders, and then Julius Brents, sign me up for that every single day of the week. 46.2% completion percentage against them last season on Kansas State. 374 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 PBUs, 4 interceptions in 14 games. In terms of what he brings to the table, Brent's inconsistent balance and ball skills are legitimate concerns at the next level. But he is a long-limb, fluent athlete with a loose movements and speed to maintain phase. He offers the man coverage skills that will help him compete for starting level snaps early in his NFL career. The Raiders want to play man. They want to do press man, and that's what they're going to be able to do with Julius Brents. Duke Shelley, David Long Jr. are a little bit more undersized, but Nate Hobbs has got that athletic ability. So when you combine that with Brents, I think you're going to like what you get from your defensive backfield. In terms of some other top 30 visits the Raiders have had that I want Raider Nation to look at in terms of targets in the draft on day 2, Julius Brents, the guy I just mentioned, Jammie Robinson, the safety out of Florida State, Tyrique Stevenson, Kelee Ringo, a name to keep in mind. Daiyan Henley, no doubt about it. Jaelyn Duncan, I don't love him as a prospect. Definitely has a lot of upside, though. Dorian Williams, Zack Kuntz, Byron Young, Cory Trice. Remember, all of these players the Raiders have met with. So for that reason, there is at least a little bit of interest in all those guys, or at least some names to keep in mind. Another name to keep in mind, Hendon Hooker. The reason why I say that is because I got told by a very good source 2.5 months ago that Hooker is the top quarterback most likely to be drafted by the Raiders. The longer Will Levis slides, the more I think Hendon Hooker slides. Curious to see where both of those QBs end up going. So what do you think about this? I asked you about pick 70. Well, what about pick 100? Who are the Raiders going to take at 100? I gave you a bunch of names there for pick 70. For pick 100, I'm going to go safety. So the Raiders went Tyree Wilson. I went Drew Sanders. I went Julius Brents. Let's go safety here with Jartavius Martin from Illinois. 6 foot, 195-pounder from Florida. 64 tackles last season with the Fighting Illini. 3 interceptions. 11 PBUs. As y'all can tell, I've had a few drinks tonight. So, Illini, yeah, that'll be the word. 56.8% completion percentage. 611 yards against, 3 touchdowns. overall, I like what he brings to the table in terms of being a competitor. Martin needs to become a better finisher, but he's an outstanding athlete with cover skills, tackling, attitude, and above-average football character. Though he offers experience across the secondary, he is the best suited inside as a nickel defender. He's going to give you versatility. The Raiders want versatility, and whether you're looking at safety, whether you're looking at cornerback, that's what the silver and black want. And I think that's what they're going to try to really, really, truly target on day 2 and even on day 3. Players that give them versatility, players that give them starting caliber talent. And Jartavius Martin is one of those guys that has that ability. So, when you look at the Raiders' Day 2 mock draft that I laid out, you got a starting linebacker, you got a starting cornerback, and you probably got a starting safety. Maybe not in year 1, but they're not totally sold on Trevon Merrick as well. So, if you want to be able to interact with me on social media, here are the places to do it. Twitter, Instagram, Cameo, at MitchellRents365. If you want to interact with me also on Locals, it's RaidersReport.locals.com. So, here was my Raiders Day 2 mock draft. They went Tyree Wilson in round 1. For that, I went Drew Sanders in round 2, Julius Brents at 70, and then Jartavius Martin from Illinois, the safety, at pick 100. That is our Day 2 mock. If you don't already know, you can tune into our live NFL draft coverage here on Chat Sports and also on the Raiders Report. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and we'll see what the Silver and Black decide to do on Day 2.